everyone, my name is Allison, Allie for short. I'm just a normal high school student and have the most normal, boring life of anyone I know. All the other kids at school got to do exciting things during spring break. Sarah B traveled to Prague with her family, Kara got to go to Cancun, Priyanka went skydiving. The most interesting thing I did was clean up my dog Lulu's poop. But it wasn't anyone's fault but mine. Sure, it's true, my parents couldn't afford to take me on fancy trips like that. They only ran a restaurant together and all their money went back into the business, and they needed me to help out after school. But the truth is, they would have let me do anything I wanted, but I was too scared. I could never go skydiving or even flying to another country like Prague. My whole life, I had been scared of everything, and I was sick of it. Just once, I wished I could go on an adventure of my own. But I had to look at everyone else having a great life through Instagram. And sometimes I couldn't even look at their photos because my stupid phone was constantly acting up. I was telling Kara all this while we picked up our food at lunch, and she said, "Well, if you're too scared to do anything, you can't really complain about not doing anything. Not to be harsh, but it's your life. You're the one who has to live it." You know what, Kara? You're right. The next time I get an opportunity to do something fun or crazy or scary, I'll do it. With a newfound determination, I shook Kara's hand, but when I sat down, I sat on my phone and saw that it was dialing some random number. I held it to my ear, but there was only a strange static sound, but it seemed to be mostly okay. After school, my friend Kara and I were at my parents' restaurant studying for the history test. I don't know why you don't like this place. I'd be so happy if my parents had a restaurant and I could eat free breadsticks every day. You're eating free breadsticks now. A man came into the restaurant just then. He wasn't like our usual customers. He had a nice suit on and dark sunglasses. It seemed like he was looking for someone. His eyes landed on me and I looked down at my textbook. It was none of my business. Kara nudged me, and when I looked up again, the man was standing right in front of our booth.
"Agent Dark, I'm Agent West. I need you to come with me."
I stared at him, dumbfounded. Was this a prank?
"Please, Agent Dark, we don't have much time."
My name is Allison.
No real names. In case one of us is captured, the less we know about each other, the better.
My heart was pounding. Was this guy for real? None of what he was saying made any sense. Agent Dark and I were just finishing up. She's ready now. What? I couldn't believe it. Why would she do that? She kicked me under the table and looked at me as if to say, "What are you waiting for? He looks like a Greek god." "Would you excuse us, sir?" She dragged me up and pulled me to the corner. "This is your big chance. Adventure, no fear. You said you would take your next opportunity, remember?" "I didn't mean this. I don't know anything about being a spy or fighting. I'm boring, remember? That's the only thing anyone knows about me. And guess what? It's true." "Yeah, but that's not what you want. This is it, Allie. You either go and do this thing with this random, beautiful Greek god of a man, or you stay boring and safe forever. Remember, in life, nothing changes unless you change it." Maybe she was right. It was time to do something crazy, to finally step out of my comfort zone. I stood up. My mom glanced over from me from the kitchen window. "Are you leaving, honey? Why don't you and your friends take some breadsticks with you?" I grabbed the sticks and nodded to Agent West, who led me out of the restaurant by the hand. A black car was waiting for us outside. We both got into the back seat, and the car rolled out of the parking lot. I couldn't see the driver. There was a partition separating the front of the car from the back. Agent West breathed a sigh of relief.
"We were so glad to finally get your signal. We thought you were captured, or worse."
"What signal?"
"The access code. You called in yesterday. The numbers you put in. We know it was you. Don't try to back out now."
I thought hard. What code? What numbers? But then I remembered yesterday when I was eating lunch in the cafeteria. I sat on my phone. The butt dial. That was totally random, though. What were the odds that I sat on my phone in just the right way to dial a secret number and enter the correct 16-digit secret password? Maybe I should buy lottery tickets. Agent West was quiet for most of the ride. I had a million questions, but I was afraid if I opened my mouth, the truth would spill out, and my adventure would be over before it started. Finally, the car slowed down and parked. I stopped and stared as I got out. We were in the circle drive of a mansion. Not one of those fake McMansions either. Like a real, gigantic, beautiful palace. It looked like royalty lived there, or at least a really wealthy athlete. Agent West removed something draped over a hanger from the trunk and held it out to me.
Put this on.
I ducked into the back seat and changed as fast as I could. Thankfully, the partition was still up and the windows were almost as black as the paint. When I emerged, Agent West's jaw dropped. I was in a glittering blue dress. I didn't have a mirror, but judging by Agent West's expression, the dress must have looked pretty good. Everything all right? He pulled himself together and we approached the entrance.
Your mission is to distract the ambassador. That'll give me time to crack the safe and steal the device.
Distract him how?
I'm sure you'll think of something.
If anything, the inside was even more gorgeous. Spiral staircase, crystal chandelier, guests in glamorous attire all around.
That's the ambassador over there.
A small man with a mean, pinched face sipped champagne by himself in the corner. I don't think I can do this. I'm just a student. I'm not trained. Agent West took my hands.
Don't panic. They wouldn't have chosen you for this mission if they didn't know you were capable. Besides, I believe in you.
I gulped. It was nice to hear, but was it really me he believed in, or just the person he thought I was? Taking a closer look at him, Agent West didn't seem to be much older than I was. But how could a high school freshman be an international spy? Maybe he just looked young. Then it clicked. I knew what I had to do to make it through this mission. From this moment on, I would pretend to be the person they thought I was. If she was brave, poised and confident and quick on her feet, then I would be too. I nodded to Agent West and he slipped away. I grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing server's tray. I started walking, took a sip. I immediately spit it out. Gross. I set the glass down on another server's tray and walked right up to the ambassador. He stared at me grumpily. I smiled back, but I didn't know what to say. Was I supposed to introduce myself? Suddenly, I was mad. Agent West had left me here by myself with no preparation and no plan. At a strange place surrounded by strange new people? How did I even know he was who he said he was? Maybe he worked for the bad guys. Who were the bad guys? I stopped and took a breath. I didn't think he worked for the bad guys. Remember, I told myself, you're not Allie, a boring, ordinary freshman at Claremont High. You're Agent Dark, international spy extraordinaire. Breadstick? I offered a breadstick from my purse. The ambassador's angry face broke into a delighted smile.
Don't mind if I do.
A little while later, Agent West appeared and pulled me away from the ambassador. I had done such a good job charming him that he seemed disappointed to see me leave. He even wanted me to meet his daughter. Agent West and I snuck out onto the balcony. The city lights sparkled in front of us.
I got it.
I didn't even know what it was, but I was happy the mission was a success.
You were incredible tonight, Agent Dark. I couldn't have done it without you.
That made me feel even better. Like maybe I wasn't here by mistake, and I was capable. Can't you tell me your real name? You already know mine.
I'm Zane.
Nice to meet you, Zane. The sounds of the party were faint. Here on the balcony, it was quiet. Just me and Agent West, Zane. He peered into my eyes. My heart began to pound. He leaned in to kiss me. An alarm went off just before our lips met. It was a deafening wail. There were shouts inside, people scrambling everywhere.
We have to go.
He hopped off the balcony railing onto some vines climbing up the mansion wall. I froze. That didn't look very stable. I looked down at the distant gravel below. Then I heard more shouting inside. It sounded angry. I glanced through the sliding glass doors. 2 burly security guards noticed me. One pointed right at me, and they hurried toward the glass. I turned back to Agent West. He held out his hand. The security guards were almost there. I took another deep breath. Remember, Allie, what would Agent Dark do? Just as the security guards crashed through the doors, I took Agent West's hand and leaped off the balcony. He tugged a vine loose and we slid all the way down, the ground coming up fast. We swung safely onto the circle drive, landed on our feet. The black car was already waiting for us. We dove into the back seat and the driver hit the gas hard. We sped off, leaving the out-of-breath security guards in the dust. My adrenaline was pumping. I looked over at Agent West, and we both burst out laughing. Later, Agent West walked me to my front door. We stood on the steps, both quiet and giddy from our close call.
Thanks for everything, Allison. You're even more impressive than your reputation.
That's right. Take that, Agent Dark. Call me Allie.
Good night, Allie.
Good night, Zane. When I finally went back to school the next day, I felt a new sense of confidence. All my fears were gone. While Priyanka and Sarah B talked about their adventures skydiving or going to Prague, I had to keep my mouth shut and just pretend like I was jealous. They would never know that I got to be a secret spy. At least Kara knew. And I looked amazing in that dress. Speaking of, that dress was too nice to wear only once. I decided to go to the dance with it. When I got there, everyone was buzzing in the halls. I had no clue what all the commotion was about. And then, there he was, Zane, in a tux and a vest.
You look familiar.
I glared at him. I wasn't sure I was in the mood for jokes when I hadn't heard a word from him in weeks. You know, you could have texted or called or sent a flying pigeon or something.
I know. I'm sorry I just disappeared like that. I had to go radio silent until the heat died down. I was afraid if I contacted you, I might put you in danger.
Yeah, well, I like danger, don't you know? I've jumped off balconies. I think I can handle a phone call. As mad as I am, I have to say, I'm glad to see you and I'm happy you're safe.
Well, I appreciate that. I know I'm probably too late, but I wanted to ask you, just in case.
I waited, nervous. Did he need me for another mission? I wasn't sure I was ready for that kind of excitement again so soon. Especially considering we'd almost been caught last time. What would have happened to me if I hadn't taken the leap off that balcony? Jail? Worse? I was okay with life being a little boring sometimes.
Do you have a date for the dance?
That... Hello, I'm Lily from Canada. Please like and subscribe to MSA. Growing up, I was a healthy and strong kid who wasn't afraid to jump from high walls or do anything extreme, but I could only imagine all that because my parents were so overprotective. Once when I was 4 and Mom took me to the park, I started doing handstands and cartwheels with another child, and all the moms were cheering us on. But my mom started to panic.
Lily, where did you learn to do those dangerous stunts?
From TV. There's this cool dance program and...
Enough. We need to go home.
From that day onwards, Mom and Dad stopped watching anything with dance, gymnastics, or any physical activities. When I was in 3rd grade and wanted to be part of an extracurricular dance for school, they never allowed me. You guys are so unfair. You know how good I am with my feet. Why can't I just dance?
Because, hun, we live a very peaceful life right now. What if you become a famous dancer and then there are reporters and the next thing you know you're being published? Do you really want all that attention?
Yes? Who doesn't? My parents still refused and their excuse was ridiculous. And then when I went into high school, I started to rebel against them and become friends with the most rebellious girl in school, Zoe. Everyone in school was scared of her because she did the craziest things. Like this one time when we were in the 8th grade, she set the school's rose garden on fire. Oh my gosh, Zoe, we're gonna get in so much trouble. There's no cameras here, so no one will know. This is my payback to the principal for giving us detention for an entire month. Huh, I know, that was so unfair. We weren't the only ones who threw food around in the cafeteria. Even though Zoe was crazy wild, she was the most genuine person I'd ever met. And one day when we were in the 11th grade, she finally invited me over to her house for a sleepover. I can't believe this. This is the first time you invited me to your house. Well, you haven't really invited me to your house either. But anyway, my mom only recently got a decent job to take care of us. We struggled for a really long time after my dad left. Oh, I'm sorry. You mentioned us. I assumed that you were an only child. I wish I were an only child. I have a brother. And just because he goes to a special school, my parents give him all the attention. And just then when we entered her house, the most gorgeous looking guy gazed at me from the living room. Lily, meet my goofball brother, Grant. Hi, Grant. As we walked past him, Grant winked at me and I blushed so red. I was definitely gonna enjoy my sleepover. Zoe's room was exactly what I expected it to be. Creepy and a little scary since she had bats hanging from every corner. And then her mom came into her room limping. I made you girls some cookies. So glad to finally meet you, Lily. Zoe's mom was so sweet, but Lily told me she was sad most of the time. And when I asked why, Lily said she didn't want to talk about it. I was really moved by the story. And then Zoe broke the ice by slamming my face with a pillow. Pillow fight! We had loads of fun pillow fighting, dancing, and just being free until my mom called.
Honey, I think you need to come home.
But Mom, we spoke about this. I'm sleeping at a friend's house because we're working on a school project.
Your father and I are very worried.
I'm hanging up now and I'm not coming home tonight. Zoe saw how frustrated I was and I ended up telling her all about my crazy parents. Maybe they're hiding something from you. Because why would any parent not want their kid to participate in any hobbies or activities? Yeah, they're definitely hiding something because my life is not normal. That night, I couldn't sleep, thinking about what secrets my parents had that made them so scared about everything I did. I checked if Zoe was asleep and she was snoring like a bear. I got up to go get some water, and while I was at the kitchen sink, a hand suddenly touched my shoulder and I jumped, feeling freaked out. And before I could scream, Grant held my mouth. Oh my gosh, you gave me such a fright.
I'm sorry. I usually wake up to get a glass of milk around this time. I have night eating syndrome. I got it from my dad. You want to join me?
Well, I'm struggling to sleep too, so why not? Grant and I sat outside on their swinging chairs on the porch. We spoke for hours and I couldn't believe we had so much in common.
I sometimes teach Latin dance to some of the younger kids at the community hall after school. You should come by.
Wow, that's so cool. I'll definitely stop by. We continued talking until we lost track of time and fell asleep on the chair. But I woke up to a camera flashing in my face and Zoe looking angrily at me. So, I guess having a sleepover with my brother was much more fun than with me. Zoe, it's not like that. Zoe didn't let me finish and rudely asked me to leave her house. But Grant stood up for me.
Why are you being so difficult? I like Lily, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Grant took my hand and walked me out. I just felt more and more sparks between us. Zoe started acting weird after that, but at least I had Grant. As time went by, I started going to the community hall after school to watch Grant teach. I was mesmerized by his moves, and one day after his class was over, he called me to dance with him. Grant, I don't know anything about dancing. I'll just watch. He took my hand and held me around my waist, and we almost kissed, until we were interrupted by Zoe. She had her music kit and danced in the hall glaring at me. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just here to practice for the up-and-coming competition.
You need a dance partner for the competition.
Don't worry about me, brother. You should be concerned with your dance partner, who has 2 left feet. I wasn't planning on taking part in any dance competition, but because of Zoe's new attitude towards me, I took her mockery as a challenge. What if we practice until we shine so bright that Zoe won't be able to open her big mouth anymore?
I think I like that plan.
After a while, I stood up to Zoe. She tried to make my life a nightmare at school. Once I was reading a book under the school tree during recess, and then suddenly I felt eggs cracking on my head one after the other. And when I looked up, I saw Zoe looking like a koala. Zoe, I'm gonna get you for this, you crazy witch. She definitely laughed like a crazy witch after that. And that wasn't all for the day. When I got back home after school, she was at my house. And thank goodness my parents weren't around. Have you completely lost your mind? I didn't come here to fight. I'm just here to warn you about my brother. He has a girlfriend, so let's just stop being enemies and let's go back to being pals. Your brother and I are not dating, and besides, he would have mentioned his girl. Before I could complete my sentence, my parents came back from shopping and Zoe's expression changed. You know what? I think we should just forget the friendship thing. I felt so confused with her, and my parents acted even more strange when they rushed me into the house and locked the door.
Who was that? And why was she at our house?
Relax, that's Zoe. I was at her house for a sleepover. And why are you two always on edge? Did y'all commit a crime or something?
Lily, we will not have you talk to us like that. To your room, now.
My parents frustrated me with whatever secret they were keeping. I was done listening to them and never told them about my dance lessons or the local competition. But I did invite them to the contest and told them it was a school function. I thought after they saw me dance, they would understand my passion. But I was wrong.
Lily, what did you do?
I just won a local competition. You should be proud of me. And then Mom suddenly took my hand in a panic.
Come on, we have to get out of here before anyone sees us.
But before I could walk out the door, Zoe called out to me. She was with her mom and Grant. Lily, wait. My mom wants to meet your parents. I pulled my hand away from Mom and ran to them. And when Zoe's mom saw my parents, she immediately stopped smiling. And my parents had this look of guilt in their eyes. Lily, are these your parents? Yeah? Why? Our parents used to be best friends and famous dancers. But one time, they were doing a competition. Your mom tripped my mom.